But so you said about the illusion, about the idea that you have to believe that they have this authority. So let's talk about that. And that's a central part of your discussion in the book, is that it's not that everyone's just inherently bad, that people believe that these people have the right to rule over them. So to touch on the point, your point about the consent of the governed, and why that is an illusion and what it means. And, in a context even of a democracy, that's really just the mob having rule over what you say. So break that down for people.
Right. Well, picture there's a king. There's one king. He bosses people around. He steals their stuff. And people go, hey, we don't really like this. And then he goes, oh, they're getting kind of upset. I'm going to let them choose between me and my brother who's going to rule them and boss them around and take their stuff. We're still going to boss them around and take their stuff. But then we're going to tell them, well, because we let you choose which bully was going to brutalize you on a regular basis, that sort of means you're in charge, and it sort of means you consented. So democracy, I mean, people are like, well, at least it's democracy. Democracy is the best trick tyrants have ever come up with, because it gives the people the illusion that they have some say in the matter, that they're being represented, or that it's by their consent, when none of that's true. And they have no say in the matter at all. But the reason for the tyrant to do that is because if people think they have no influence within the system, they tend to have revolutions, or at least just disobey. And we're going to sneak over here and not tell the master what we're doing. But if they can keep the focus on, well, have this election and have these bicker and get the livestock into two groups who are yelling at each other. We want our guy in power. We want our guy in power. It's literally just managing human livestock. And that's what the movie Jones Plantation is about, that we made. And so as long as people think the institution is legitimate and they play these stupid games, they lose, because they've already accepted the premise that somebody has the right to rule them. They're just bickering over who. And if you start with that premise, you already lost. You've already agreed that you're somebody else's property, basically. Right. Now you're just whining about which person it's going to be.
Right.
And here's the thing that a lot of pro-freedom people don't even like to hear. It's very easy to point at Washington, D.C. or wherever and point at these crooks and go, they're evil psychos. They're causing all these problems, blah, blah, blah. And they are evil psychos, and they are causing lots of problems. The thing is, all of their power comes from the belief of their subjects.
Right.
And people don't want to think. Democrats can point at the system and go, this is unfair. And Republicans can point at the system and go, this is unfair. And everybody political can do that. None of them want to admit that their belief system is why this is happening.
Right.
And democracy is a fine example, because people say, well, if we vote really hard, and I say, okay, if 49% of voters voted to end some tax, does it end? No. If 10% of people being taxed just go, not giving you my money anymore, that's the end. It doesn't matter who's in power. It doesn't matter what the legislation says. It's the people's belief that they're obligated to obey, which makes their focus be on begging the masters for permission to be free. Right. And if you have to beg somebody else for permission to be free, you're already not free.
Right, exactly. Good.
And that is the heart and soul of politics. And that's why most of the people who go, rah, 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 I'm pro-freedom, they don't get that as long as they believe that government is a legitimate thing, they are the problem. And not on purpose, not because they're malicious, but because they've been duped into believing this superstition of political authority, where they think, well, of course we're going to have a ruling class. Now let's bicker about what it's allowed to do and who should be in control of it. It's like, you already lost. As soon as the game board was set, you had already lost, because you already accepted the premise that you're going to have a ruler. And that they'll hide that under, well, it's representative and blah, blah, blah. It's a ruler. They tell you what you can do, and they decide how much of your paycheck they will let you keep. And then they say, we represent you.
Right.
If I went to you personally and said, from now on, I'm deciding how much of your paycheck I'm going to take every time you get a paycheck. But don't worry, I'm serving you. And in any other context, everybody would recognize that as utterly insane. But because this is a belief system they've been surrounded by their entire life, they think, well, this must be real. Government must be legitimate. We can bicker about the details, but we can't throw out the entire idea. And
Absolutely,
until
we can.
humanity throws out the idea.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
you called it what, hand-me-down beliefs. I thought that was a good way to
Yeah.
put that.